welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, on the other side of the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, and we are at SHOT Show 2026 at the Imperium Strategic Group Mobile Studio, having a good time in Las Vegas, talking all guns, all the gun time, and, you know, talking other stuff, but mostly talking about guns, and just want to say happy Hump Day.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day, where we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as I like to say, the fun is all in the China. And since we're in Vegas, let's just put it this way. This is kind of all business during the day. It's kind of like a mullet, all right? Being here in Vegas is like mullet. So during the day, we're all business, right? We're the business in the front. But let the sun go down. That's right. 5 o'clock. This place shuts down, and we go and we become the party in the back, having a good time all evening, and then we just come back the next day and we do it all again. But we're gonna have a really good time. I got a special interview for you today, a surprise interview. So I'll tell you, it was funny. So just so you know, if you saw the thing, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, is here, kind of talking about what the Trump administration is doing to promote the Second Amendment and help us, you know, actually, I don't know, have a Second Amendment, but the very beginning of the thing, it was so quick because she had 5 minutes, and so I had to set everything up and then get her, and she was out of focus at first. So anyway, but we got the interview done, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that as we get into the program today. But before we do, we're going to start off how we normally start off, and that is with a quick shout out to our sponsors. And if we're going to do a shout out to our sponsors, it might help if I actually had everything set up here the way it's supposed to be set up. I was so busy setting up everything else that I forgot to set up and make sure that my background was taken care of, but don't worry about it. We got this. Configure, sidecar, bam, and there we are. All right, we're going to start. We've got the folks, well, we'll tell you what, we'll start right here. There we go. Let's move the other one in there and just go, there we go. Okay. So first we're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. Hitman Industries rifle, they make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. If you've purchased an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels, so why not get another one? Just go to hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You gotta check them out. You trust me, you will love it. You gotta check them out today at cragop.org. At cragop.org. Believe it or not, yes, there are conservatives in California, and you can learn out how you can help them. And if you want to help them, if you want to help CRA, well, if you want to help California today, you gotta help. You gotta join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, because they like helping Americans wear guns. They like it so much, they're going to give you a holster on discount. All you have to do is enter the discount code, The Rundown. All caps, one word, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get your hog holster on discount. And then finally, we've got the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. Whether you're looking for, you know, tactical pants, whether you're looking for hats, whether you're looking for sights, whether you're looking for, you know, whatever it is, they have all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's stories, and we're going to start off talking about our live. So if you are watching us live, just know that we're taking your comments, and once again, all I care about is that they are interesting. I don't care if you agree. In fact, if you disagree, it's actually even better, because then we have the opportunity to mock you.
Oh wow, is that a mocking day?
That's right. We have the opportunity to mock you because, as Mike likes to say, we will mock you. All right, let's get into today's news stories. And we're going to start, like I said at the top of the story, I had a chance to sit down with Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon. Now, I've known Harmeet for years, largely because of the work that she's done in the state of California, or not just state of California, the work she's done nationally, but she's from California. So I've had a chance to work very closely with her and just kind of see just the phenomenal things she's doing to help promote our fundamental rights and defend conservatives and conservative values on a national scale. Well, she was appointed as the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights there in Washington, D.C. And it's under the concept of this, in my opinion. She understands that civil rights are not special rights for special people, as the left would have you believe. In other words, they believe that if you are the right, if you are a certain gender, if you are a certain skin tone, if you are a certain religion or a certain gender identity, well, then you deserve special elevated rights. Well, that's not what civil rights are. Civil rights are the rights that are due to each and every one of us. And she works to make sure that people's civil rights are not violated. Now, in case you did not know this, according to the left, if you happen to be a Anglo-Saxon Protestant white male, you don't have any civil rights according to the left. In fact, you are less than in most of their eyes, at least according to the policies and the way in which they implement their policies. That having been said, in comes Harmeet Dillon, who has fought. I mean, she fought to make sure that conservative students had the same exact rights as liberal students when it came to having speakers on campus and having free speech on college campuses. She's fought for religious freedom. She's fought for free speech. She's fought for Second Amendment. And what's been really neat about this is that as a part of her job in civil rights, she is now also overseeing a new department whose primary focus is to make sure that the Second Amendment rights of Americans are protected, in particular from those who are seeking to take them away at the local and state level, but also at the federal level. And what I had a chance to do was, and I knew there was one question, because everybody I talked to in the gun rights community was saying, look, yeah, great. We're happy that you're going after the locals, that you're going after these cities and these states that are working to, subvert our rights. But that's not enough, because there's actually some low-hanging fruit. And that low-hanging fruit is actually at the federal level. What are you doing at the federal level? And her editor thing was, well, you know what? I'm glad you asked that question, Craig, because here's what she had to share. Now, one of the things that a lot of people ask about is that we're seeing what you're doing when it comes to going after local governments and going after states. What are some of the things that you're looking at in terms of, in particular, some of the Biden-era stuff that's kind of held over to address the things that the federal government can be doing in order to better advocate for our Second Amendment rights?
Sure. Well, one of the big things that's coming out in the near future is a package of rulemaking reforms to ATF. So ATF, I mean, they get a bad rap. I think 95% of what they do is just normal enforcement, keeping guns out of the hands of bad guys, and then, other things, tobacco as alcohol. But on the gun side, they had a lot of really onerous restrictions. So you're going to see a lot of reforms to those restrictions being rolled out shortly. I've discussed them. My office has blessed, given our input on some of these things. Another one is our colleague, Assistant Attorney General for Office of Legal Policy, just issued an opinion last week about the ban on shipping firearms through the United States Postal Service, saying that was unconstitutional. So we are attacking regulations of the federal government as well. It does take time. I will just be very frank that most of the conservative lawyers who came in to join the United States Department of Justice from a policy perspective, I wonder how many of them have guns. They're a little bit prissier maybe than some of us here, but a lot of us in the Civil Rights Division are gun owners. I am a gun owner. I have a CCW in DC, and so we are familiar with these issues, and we're just educating our colleagues why they're important.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all that you're doing. It is amazing what you've done in just. There we go. I turned the audio down because I didn't want you guys to get all of the background noise here. But so as you can see, there's stuff that's going on. And the first thing she's going to be doing is, as she noted, they're addressing the rulemaking process. And hopefully what that means is is that then once the rulemaking process has been reformed, then they're going to go back and they're going to start changing some rules. And I think that's going to be the process and the direction in which they're going to be heading. As I think many of you out there agree, it's the low-hanging fruit. It's the stuff that needs to be done. And again, we want it all done like speedily and all of that right now, but there's some things that take time because there's got to be a process. And if there's one thing I know about Harmeet, she believes in making sure that the process is done right so that, well, it's done right. Right? If you don't do the right process, then the things aren't done right. Now, in the end, none of this matters if it's not codified in law, right? Because the next administration can come right in and make all the same changes. That's why I keep telling people, for those of you out there who think we don't have to do anything else, we got Trump as president now and he's changing all these things, that's great and wonderful. How many of the things that the president has done have been codified in law? The one big beautiful bill, which means the tax cuts are there, right? The removal of the tax stamp is there because, you know, the NFA tax stamp and the $200 fee, that's gone. But what are some of the things? Anyway, that's my point. My point is we have to work to help elect enough people at the, you know, in the Senate. We need a 60-vote majority, and we have to hold on to the House. And when I say hold on to the House, we know that there's a few anti-gun folks who call themselves Republicans there in the House. We need to address them as well. So if you're not pro-Second Amendment and you're a Republican, then you need to be replaced by a pro-Second Amendment Republican. How about that? Shouldn't be hard to find one. Most of us who claim to be actually are, but you know we do have some folks who aren't. But anyway. That was just really good news. And I realize that's not breaking news, but I know that's a question every time I talk about this new agency. That's a question that every gun rights person asks. And here you have at least two concrete examples of things that are happening now. And keep in mind, this department's only been open for like 3 months. So once again, I expect big things. Harmeet is definitely on our side. And I think she has a little bit more faith in Pam Bondi than I do, but you know, all that having been said, I think that that things are headed in the right direction when it comes to our gun rights at the federal level. All right, that now brings us to our next story, and our next story is kind of interesting because this would have been our lead story. Not because, well, it happened last week. It happened over the weekend, right? You guys probably heard about the protests that took place where Don Lemon and a group of agitators decided to go into a church during church service and interrupt the service. So they're not protesting on the street outside the church. They're not protesting in the streets. They're not protesting on the sidewalk. They were actually in a church protesting. And here's some of what they were doing.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly. Say your name! Renee!
Now, that's just some of the stuff that they were doing. Now, imagine that. Imagine just going into, once again, private property, because the church is private property, going in and actually, violating the church service. And here's the funny part, is not only that, but then you have guys like Don Lemon who are basically, in the midst of it saying, well, you know what? Tough.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
But there are folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock. And
okay,
my
but listen,
family.
we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here. Okay, that's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding and
We're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
No
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
Unless you're here to
chronicle
worship.
whatever.
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
So here's a guy, he's claiming to be a Christian, which anybody who knows Don Lemon knows that there's one very part of his life that is not very Christian-like. I won't get into it, but here he is interrupting a church service. I mean, like they're literally in the middle of their service. Talking about, well, we have a right to protest. Well, no, you have a right to protest in public property. You do not have a right to protest on someone else's public property. But see, he's not the only one who feels that way, because apparently the attorney, apparently the attorney general for the state of Minnesota seems to basically believe, the church, right, does not have a right to be able. The people at the church have no right to be able to worship or to have their right to exercise their free speech honored.
For investigate you. So I wish in a normal time I would say no. I'd say this is First Amendment activity. In time like this, it's just really difficult to say because the only one thing is clear. If Trump likes you, you can do no wrong. If he doesn't, he's going to use every weapon he can against you, including our criminal justice system. Protest is fundamental to American society. This country started in a protest. And, it's freedom of expression. People have a right to lift up their voices and make their peace. And none of us are immune from the voice of the public. So quite honestly, I think that you got the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and freedom of First Amendment, freedom of expression. And I think that, it's just something to be gotta live with in a society.
So in other words, you just got to live with it. Now, here's my question, because you might remember Keith Ellison was the first Muslim to be a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and actually swore his oath on a Quran instead of a Bible. Here's my question. So if a bunch of, if a bunch of Israelis or Jewish people decided to break into his mosque in the middle of prayer and start chanting and yelling and getting in the face of their imam, what do you think his response would be? What do you think the media's response would be? They would lose their minds. You know they would lose their minds. Because you know what it is that they're doing, what it is that they're talking about is, first of all, you're talking about private property, right? People have a right and the ability to have private property. And so we're talking about private property. Then we're talking about the right to freedom of religion, right? In fact, there was a law that was passed specifically to make sure that you could not impede on people who are trying to exercise their freedom of religion, right? And it was basically mainly because you had the KKK that was trying to interfere with black churches or churches who were supporting the black community. Well, now, clearly, this law, and by the way, it wasn't written specifically only to apply to the KKK, but who thought that there would be a group out there that would actually do that and do it against once again, Christians? Who thought that would happen? Well, guess what? It's happening. And it's happening by another group of racists, and that's the BLM, the ICE, the BLM, all of that crowd, because you heard the hands up, don't shoot, right? The myth that we all know never really happened. We know that Michael Brown never actually had his hands up. By the way, we also know that Renee Good never actually had her hands up. Anyway, but it's just crazy that they would actually defend this sort of behavior. I'm sorry, it's reprehensible. And the very fact that there are people on the left who think that it is okay, then yeah, they need to be prosecuted. People need to understand this is not legal behavior. This is not appropriate. Because here's the thing I don't want. I don't want our folks to go in. Like I said earlier, I talked about like either Jews or Christians going into, or Proud Boys going into a mosque. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. But when you make it so that if it can happen to this group, then it can happen to this group, right? If what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And they seem to forget that as you start to approve this stuff and make this stuff okay, well then that means that it's not just okay for you, it's okay for everybody. All of us get to partake and be a part of that discussion, right? Right? Are we right? Right? Yep. I think we're all in agreement here. All right, moving right along. U.S. drug overdose deaths plummet as Trump secures the border. This is one of the dirty little secrets. So since Trump secured the border, crime is down, way down. It's like down since pre-pandemic, right? Drug overdoses is way down. Murder is way down. We are doing so phenomenally well when it comes to where we are at when it comes to drug overdoses. And a lot of it has to do with the reduction in the amount of these narcotics, in particular fentanyl, that is making its way across our southern border. And this is being reported by the folks over at Breitbart. It says here, U.S. drug overdoses plummet as Trump administration cracks down on border. U.S. drug overdose deaths fell by 20.6% over the course of 1 year, according to the latest data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Meanwhile, Louisiana, Florida, Virginia, New York, Vermont, Wyoming, and the District of Columbia saw more than 30% decreases in drug overdose deaths. The data examines U.S. deaths from August 2024 to August 2025, as the Biden administration increased border enforcement near the end of his term, amid heavy criticism. Before President Trump took office last year, after which the decline in drug overdose deaths accelerated. Quote, the fall begins at the end of the Biden administration, but the question is, was it in anticipation of a tough-on-crime president coming in? Joseph Gallagher, I'm not even going to pronounce his name, we'll just call him Joe, retired NYPD sergeant and adjunct criminal justice professor at Penn State Lehigh Valley, told Fox News. Securing the borders has a lot to do with the drop, he added. Less chance for drug dealers and their mules to bring drugs into the country. The CDC noted that the data is provisional due to some causes of death still being investigated. Anyway, the point that I think is important here, the point that's being made is, first of all, a lot of it you've got Biden trying to take credit for. Well, all Biden did was reinstitute things that worked under the Trump administration. They're in the final quarter of his presidency. He basically stopped letting people in and started actually doing some things. And then when Trump came in, you saw there was a 96%, let me say it again, a 96% reduction in traffic at the southern border from illegal immigrants. So he shut it down. And as he shut it down, Border Patrol agents were then able to focus on these drug interdictions, to focus on making sure that fentanyl wasn't getting into the United States. And as fentanyl is not getting in the United States, it's not killing American citizens. But he won't get credit for it. The left will never give him credit for it. I don't understand this with the left. It's like they are insistent that things are so horrible and so bad. And I keep thinking to myself, let's see. Crime is way down. Homicides are way down. Unemployment is down. Inflation is down. GDP is up 5.5%. GDP is on its way up, right? Stock market is breaking away. Stock market, it's on its way up. It had a quick dip the other day. And it's on its way back up. I don't understand what it is that the left want. Well, I know what it is. They want to be in power again, and they don't care that things are going well for so many Americans. They really don't. They don't want you to do well. They want to be in control so that they can take from you and give to, well, the people who voted them in office. That's what their goal is. And once again, they are not going to be happy unless you are unhappy. The American people are unhappy. They need you to be. They need you to be unhappy because, well, and they need the economy to not doing well. They need for crime to be high because that's the only way in which they can stand a chance of getting gaining power again. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, Newsom's Davos debacle. Oh my God. So you might have heard he was in Davos and had some interesting words to say, some advice to give to European leaders and how they should handle Donald Trump.
What was message for Europeans who are concerned about the messages from the White House around Greenland this week?
Yeah, it's time to fuck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone. It's seen this in the United States. The supine Congress playing both sides. Say one thing on a text or tweet, another publicly. It's time to have principles. It's time to stand tall and strong.
Does that mean
it's time to stand united? You make that determination. I don't make that determination.
Well, when you say standing tall, what do you mean?
I can't take this complicity. People rolling over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and this is pathetic. Nobel Prizes that are being given away. I mean, it's just pathetic. And I hope people understand how pathetic they look on the world stage. I mean, at least from an American perspective, it's embarrassing.
So what should Europe be doing?
You should decide, the Europeans should decide for themselves what to do. But one thing they can't do is what they've been doing. And they've been playing. This guy is playing folks for fools. And it's embarrassing.
Europeans think this is diplomacy and this will ultimately
this is
work.
diplomacy with Donald Trump. He's a T-Rex. You mate with him or he devours you. One or the other.
It's hysterical to listen to Gavin Newsom because now I want you to keep in mind this is a guy who continues to go back to the federal government and beg them for money for all of his liberal left-wing pet projects like the bullet train, right? The bullet train that's now been, I think it's in its 13th year of construction, and they still haven't built anything. They've spent over something like $100 billion. They spent tens of billions. The budget now is well over $100 billion, and that's to take it from Barstow to Bakersfield to Barstow, I think, something like that. But okay, no, that's probably not it. That just sounds funny. Anyway. But this meltdown that he has, keep in mind that the left, all they have is being anti-Trump. That's literally all they have, and it's worked for them in the last election in that it wasn't as much of a landslide in some places as they thought it would, as Republicans thought it would be. This upcoming election, they believe that by being anti-Trump, that's how they're going to take over majority. They're going to take over a majority in the House. They know they have no shot in the Senate. Senate's done. They're not going to. The question with the Senate is, can Republicans get a 60-vote majority? Can they get basically enough votes to be able to close debate on things or to get cloture, to vote down the filibuster or end the filibusters? Anyway. He is just, Gavin Newsom is first of all, he's a lying liar. He's very good. He's very good at answering questions that no one asked. It's actually kind of his thing. He gets up and he just, once again, flat out lies about just about everything. I mean, there's not much that he does not lie about. But once again, in the end, once again, I'm just real interested to see how everything winds up going down. In terms of the next election, in terms of the next presidential election. I think this made him look very bad, and especially when you talk about Greenland. The one thing, one thing my buddy Earl here brought up to me as we were talking about Greenland was he noted, he said, whatever you think about how Trump has handled it, and he's been kind of forgive my French, he's been kind of a jerk about it, or I used a different word, a Richard. He's been a bit of a Richard about it. He's got everyone thinking about the importance of Greenland now. Even Europe. I mean, Europe's, okay, yeah, granted, they said like 34 troops, but strategically, the importance of Greenland to the United States in particular, it's vitally important. And now all of a sudden you've got Denmark, you've got NATO, you've got all of these folks now are coming together and talking about, look, Mr. President, you don't know, you're not going to get Greenland. We're going to protect Greenland. Now, they're not just protecting Greenland from us, because if they were, they would have sent probably more than 34 troops. I didn't say brigades. I didn't say armies. I said 34 people. That's how many they sent to fortify Greenland's defense. Anyway, but people are now actually focused on the importance of it. Now they're saying, we want a partnership with you, Mr. President. Oh, okay, let's partnership, right? Do you think he immediately, I mean, I love how, like, today, in all of the news media, they were talking about, all of the headlines were, Trump backs down from military action in Greenland. And I just want to ask you, when did President Trump say that he was going to use military action? He was asked if he was open to that, and all he said was, well, I'm not ruling anything out. That's literally all he said. But they're all acting like the invasion was planned, like he was planning on invading Greenland. It's them making up stories so that they can see, the left making up stories so that they can act like they've got something done. And that's what they're going to say. Now they're going to say, see, we fought Donald Trump and we made it so that he wouldn't invade. We got him too scared to invade Greenland. No, he never said he was invading Greenland. Never said it. Never said he was going to invade Greenland. He just said he wasn't going to take it off the table. Which, by the way, if I'm in the midst of negotiations of any kind, why am I taking things off the table? That's just dumb. But then again, a lot of the people who are criticizing the president are, well, they're just plain dumb. And so they get what they get. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. All you have to do is go to hogholsters.com and you can get your Hog Holster on discount. Today, I'm going to be honest with you, because I had that interview last minute. Today's parting shots, well, it's going to be a list. I know y'all loves the lists. And I like the lists as well. I like doing lists because, well, they're easy. And I know that you guys like them. So today's list, once again, from the Babylon Bee. And it's ICE protesters reveal the next 9 places that they will attack. Let's see, we're going to start here with, the first place is Chuck E. Cheese. Time for those privileged kids to feel uncomfortable for once. Then number 2. A rehabilitation center for injured baby koalas. Not one baby koala has spoken out against ICE. Yeah, because, well, they can't speak. But okay, let's ignore that. A local orphanage, obviously to punch orphans in the face. A WNBA game. No witnesses means no crime. Oh, that's funny. Grandma Maggie's funeral. She gave a heart reaction to a Department of Homeland Security post on Facebook. She must never know peace. Number 6, a random hospital ICU waiting room. People there are already uncomfortable, which is the goal of protest, so it's an easy win. Waffle House, the hungover crackhead punching the waitress might join the cause. Oh, so that's a recruiting trip right there. Daycare for special needs children, that's number 8. Wait, this is just a front for Somali money laundering. Oops. Okay. And a mosque. Oh, wait, never mind. Those are off limits. And that just, once again, goes to the point that I made earlier about how these folks, it's selective. They only would have an issue if it was a mosque that you were seeking to protest that. Anyway, folks, that brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We have Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. We have the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Please visit them at cragop.org. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, we have the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, and that would be at uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today's program from here at SHOT Show 2026 in the Imperium Strategic Group Mobile Studios. We thank you so much for joining us. Hope we will see you tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana. Oh, by the way, if you want to watch all of that interview with Harmeet Dillon, it'll all be up later on today or tomorrow morning over at 2A News. Just go over to 2A News. You can go to our Facebook channel, you can go to our YouTube channel, and you'll find it there. Anyway, y'all have fun. I'll let you later.